Food! Thank you, Anna. You're on camera. People know who you are. I actually put the gloves on before I started working, so what the hell. I only get to eat half of this. I've been getting far too fat, so my new policy is for whatever food I get, I eat half of it. Well, no, I eat the rest of it later. Use your brain now, come on. But in one sitting, whatever I feel like eating, I will eat half of that. And then I eat the rest of it later. My F-Linus mug went missing. What's causing an A1181 to not detect hard drive or SSD? The fact that it is almost 14 years old. That's why it's not working. Electric bikes do that too. No, I've been fat for like 4 years now. When I started getting into the board repair thing, I got fat. Like the videos of me in 2000... Lewis in 2012 was a slim machine. It was a long time ago, though. They washed my gloves. Did I just say that out loud? I'm seriously washing my gloves. This is dumb. What the fuck am I doing? Ah, well. Thank you very much to Jonathan Carl. No thank you to the person who started typing Justin Timberlake lyrics into my chat. You bastard. Yeah, Steve just made a threatening stance. Alright. Hey everybody, how's it going? So today we're going to be getting started with an A1466 MacBook Air that doesn't seem to be turning on. So we're just going to get my light on the overhead camera, which when I move I'd like to be something that just turns on automatically rather than me having to hold down a button for a while. There's nothing more annoying than stuff like that where you have to hold down the button rather than just press the button for it to turn on. Especially when it's something that, you know, you expect to be instant, like a light switch. Alright. So we've got the machine on the desk here. First thing we're going to do, as always, is see how many amps it uses. And we're just going to turn on our power supply software. My hand has water on it. MacBooks are afraid of water. Perhaps if I do this, it'll just start turning on. Alright, so let's get our power supply software in the mix. So, it is taking 279 milliamps and not turning on. Now, what does that tell us? Let's see if anybody in the chat has an idea, because one of the things that I always say here is that if you're paying attention, that you can use the amount of amperage the machine is using very often to get an idea, not know exactly what it is, but get an idea of what it is that's causing it to have any particular issue. The same way that you can tell when you use diode mode measurements to ground on certain parts of the circuit what's going on with it. So if it was taking 20 to 30 milliamps, that's usually PM sleep S4L missing. If it's going back and forth between, let's say, 15 and 30 milliamps and jumping in that area, PM sleep S4L pulsing, perhaps due to a short to ground, SPI ROM issue, or now if you have it taking 100 milliamps, maybe an ALSYS power good issue, 500 to 600 milliamps turning on. What does 250 milliamps usually mean? Let's see if anybody in the chat has an idea. Okay, it seems like nobody in the chat has any idea, so let's just move on from there. 250 milliamps typically means that there is a short to ground on PP-Bus G3 Hot. And let's see if we do have a short to ground on PP-Bus G3 Hot by turning on the multimeter software that's coded by our friend at pldaniels.com. That is pldaniels.com, Paul Daniels. We're going to turn on his multimeter software and see what we're getting on PP-Bus G3 Hot, which is one of the main power rails in this machine. If you want to take a look at the list of power rails, you can simply head over to page 7 on the schematic if it is a machine from 2012 or earlier, or page 63 to 65 in the schematic if it is a MacBook from 2013 or later. This machine seems to have an 820-00165 board. You can read it right over here. The number is plated right under the SSD where it's easy to see. See 820-00165. So we are going to look for an 820-00165 schematic, open it up, and see if we can get the power rails listed on here so I can show you what it is that I'm talking about today. So let's switch over to the schematic and the board view, which used to have a button on my Stream Deck but doesn't appear to have a button now. Oh, that who messed with my Stream Deck profile? That's dirty. That is dirty. Oh, that is so absolutely awful. What little mother... there we go. Now it works. So we have switched over to the schematic and the board view over here. So you should be able to see what it is that I'm doing on the screen. And we're going to find the page with the power rails on it. Let's just take a look through those power rails and see what's going on. Now, on this list of power rails that you have here on page 62, was that wrong? Off by a page? My bad. Clearly getting old. Turned 31 in a few weeks, and it's... Yeah, I actually turned 31. Oh my god, I turned 31 next week. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, no wonder my brain is starting to rot. 31 appears to be that age where everything just falls apart. So over here you can see that we've got a list of rails. Now, I don't need to check pp3before2_G3 hot because pp3before2_G3 hot is already going to be present. How do I know that? If you take a look on here, you'll see that there is a light on the charger, and that light on the charger means the SMC is being powered. It means the SMC is speaking to the charger via the one-wire circuit, telling it to turn on. It means pp3before2_G3 hot is present because the SMC is powered by pp3before2_G3 hot. Now, if you go to the next rail on the list, you'll see that that's our PP-Bus G3 hot. Remember, you got to check the G3 hot rails, always on. S5, on when the machine's off. S4 rails, on when it's hibernating. S3, on when it's suspend to memory, otherwise known as sleep. SO rails, on when the machine is on. It's a nice little pyramid, and you need to have what's in the base before you have what is at the tip. So you need to check your base before you check your tip. Now, if we check over here, we will take a look and see what PP-Bus G3 hot is. That's going to be a rail that we can measure right over here. Paul Daniels' lovely Flex Board View software is such that I can simply right-click on a power rail, and it shows me everywhere it shows up right on the screen without having to do anything inside the Board View software. That's right. When I right-click the name of the rail on the PDF software, it shows me everywhere that it shows up on the Board View just like that. No other clicks. Beautiful, beautiful software designed here by the man Paul Daniels. He's like a magician, but his tricks are real. Now, we're going to look over here and see what we get on that rail. So where would we find that rail? We would find that rail right here. And what do we get but 0.3 volts on the fuse? Now we check the other side of the fuse. What do we get but 0.3 volts on the fuse? Interesting. Now let's take a look and see what the resistance to ground is on that rail. 0.5 ohms. Wow. 0.5 ohms. So, now what we have to do is figure out why it's 0.5 ohms, what is short-circuited on this board, and what is causing our problem. Perhaps we will take a peek around with the microscope and see if the microscope gives us any ideas. We're going to put on the microscope camera, turn off the multimeter power supply software, we don't need that right now. And let's see if any of the usual suspects are giving us an issue. Now, one of the things you may notice over here is that this cap appears to have pooped itself. And typically, the capacitor that's bad is the capacitor that has pooped itself. Look at that. See that? So that is something that I'm going to remember, make a mental note of. That may not be exactly what it is, but I'm going to make a mental note so that I can return to that part of the board later, just in case I do not find anything that seems more promising. Alright, so we go to this area of the board, and nothing looking out of order. Typically it's one of those tantalum caps on our PPBus S5 high-side computing ISIN's rail that breaks, and it doesn't look like it's any one of those today. So if I had to guess, I would say it's this cap, because it looks like something, looks like it's pooped itself. So what we're going to do here, we may actually be lucky in the fact that we don't have to use hot air to take off our short, and I'll show you how. Let's just see if that is it. Firstly, thing I should do before anything else is give you an idea of why I believe that cap is it, besides what it looks like. PPBus S5 high side computing iSense is the rail that cap is on. However, PPBus G3 Hot is what's shorted. So, what gives? Why am I looking for this? That's a great question. Now, one of the things you can do with Paul Daniels' amazing software is once I click on a power rail in the board view, it will show it on the schematic. That is what Dave Jones would call sex on a stick. And you can only get this software in Australia. Now, PPBus G3 Hot turns into PPBus S5 high-side computing iSense after it goes through a current sensing resistor. The way this works is that there's going to be a teeny tiny voltage drop across this resistor, and that voltage drop is going to be proportional to the amount of current being used. So if you want to use PPBus G3 Hot to power a bunch of different things, but some of the stuff it's powering, you want to monitor and know exactly how much current it's using, you could use a current sense resistor between PPBus G3 Hot and this. So what this is going to do is it's going to tell how much power is being used by the part that makes CPU vCore. And that little voltage drop is going to be measured by U5450, which is then going to output it as a voltage to the SMC, which is then going to read that and it's going to know how much amperage it's being used. So, over here, let's take this and see if this cap on here is what's causing this short over here. First thing we got to do is take off the heatsink. And then after that, I'm going to see if I can get that capacitor off the board without having to use hot air. Because if I can do that, then that means I can get the cap off the board without having to take the machine out of the case. And if I don't have to take the machine out of the case, well, I can get away with being a lazy bum. And what's better than that? Boy, I'm excited. We may be close to lease closing soon. I am excited, folks. There is a chance that in some short period of time, you may be seeing this stuff from... We're going to have a 300 square foot filming office. I'm getting rid of that room in the front. Someone in the comments section suggested that I use it as a casting couch, but that's not going to go over well. I really don't get why they had that room, an office right in the front of a store. I mean, unless you're trying to pull some freaky Matt Lauer shit, I really don't get the purpose of that. It was interesting that they had that there, but we're going to be getting rid of it. So, what I need to do is find a soldering iron tip that is big enough to remove that cap. And I think I might have just found it. This blade thing is too long. This is annoying. I used to have a tip that was not as wide. I actually preferred it when my tip was not as wide. But this one's a little too wide for my tastes. So hopefully the leaded solder, if you're from one of those wacky places that pronounces the L in it, is going to help me remove that, because this solder has a lower melting temperature than the other solder. All right. Now we're going to see what the resistance to ground is. And let's see if my estimation was correct. Did the cap poop itself? Was the cap that pooped itself the bad one? Ooh. Look at that. It's going up. That is just sex on a stick. I don't know what it is. I heard Dave Jones say that in one video yesterday, and I can't get it out of my head. It's been stuck in my head. I've used that expression at least 6 times today. It makes no sense at all. It's one of those silly Australian things that just doesn't make sense anywhere else in the world, but it makes me laugh, so I like it. I hate these things. These little alcohol things that you have to... Oh, man. Alright, so what we do is this. Clean that up. Clean up all the old solder. Check this out. Watch this trick. I am going to solder this cap in without hot air. And right after I'm done, I'm going to fly a drone right into Steve's head. We got this $18 drone at the store, and I also got one at home, and it's been the most fun thing in the world. I've had so much fun. Let's get this cap off a donor board. I've had so much fun with this little $18 drone. My Tello died after about a week or 2 of use. But the little drone, it just you can crash it, beat the crap out of it, it still keeps going. And what I really like about those $18 or $20 drones on Amazon versus the expensive DJI stuff, you don't have all that annoying lag from going through from the Android phone to Wi-Fi to the drone, or from Bluetooth controller to the phone to Wi-Fi to drone. It's too much latency. It's so the cheap drones are actually nice because they don't have all that complicated stuff going on. So it's just bam. One of the things I've been doing for fun is where there used to be a window in my office. We had to knock it down around 2000 in the end of 2012. Summer 2012, in order to fit air conditioning vents in there, and I'll show you once I'm done getting this cap off of the board. And we put a fan there as well, because this room will get too cold, even if you close the vent in this room. So, of course, the proper thing to do here, as you can see. 1 sec, let me get the camera off him. So, right over there. So what I'd like to do is I like to fly the drone out that and then try to fly it in here, but without being able to see between that wall and go back and forth over and over again. And it's so much fun. Second most fun thing, of course, is flying the drone at Kevin while he's talking to a customer. Hitting Kevin with a drone while he's helping a customer becomes Steve's and I's one of our favorite pastimes. Alright, let's see if this soldering iron tip will allow me to do it, or if I gotta get the smaller one to fit in there. Yeah, this tip's not gonna fit. This tip's not going to fit. Wrong hole, it's yelling. Okay, so let's try a different tip, see if a different tip fits. Would this one fit? Maybe. I don't think I have as much clearance in there as I thought.
Sure? Sure about that, Ken?
Nah. Tough fit. I'm going to mess up the plastic case of the hat behind it. Oh, or not. Damn, that cap is more crooked than a TechNet lobbyist. Alright, maybe a little hotter now that we leaded it up. Obviously, remove the SSD. Don't be a jackass. Hey, the board can boot without that cap, but you don't want to do that. Let's be nice to the little board. Alright, we have this to protect the CPU, so we're going to do that. It's not touching the CPU, but it's going to absorb most of the heat so that it doesn't go on it. Alright, so we have leaded solder over there. Rapid cool. Don't judge me. Hey, what do you mean burn the speaker? I am not going to burn the speaker. You know what? I'm going to show you the speaker just because you made that comment. Look at that speaker. Look at that. Look at that. Has that been burned at all? Because it's very easy when you're working on this in the case to burn the surrounding stuff. Check this out. Check this out. You doubt my skills? You doubt my skills? Look at this. Look at that clutch cover. Look at that unbent clutch cover. There we go. Light on. Look at this. That clutch cover is unbent, not even slightly warped. That speaker is perfect. Mwah. Even the keyboard backlight layer over there does not have a single bit. Don't doubt my skills. Now, let's see if this thing turns on. Do we get a fan spin? Do we get a light? Let's just should clean off the processor's thermal paste, actually. That stuff is kind of gunky. Ugh. Apple stock thermal paste is such trash. Utter trash. Okay, use the dry ends of the Q-tip first to get rid of as much of that junk as you can. You don't want to take. A lot of people say use alcohol and a Q-tip or something to clean it. Don't do that. don't do that. Because if you do that here, you'll mix the alcohol with the dry stuff, and then it'll become all gunky, and it'll be even harder to get off. So you do your best to clean it as much as you can with something that's dry and clean. Then you go over it with the alcohol. Same thing on the heatsink side. After you're done with that, then you go over it with the alcohol. And get a nice scrub in there, and then also rotate it a little, so you use each side of the Q-tip, the most cleaning. Most cleaning for the least Q-tip. Gotta preserve these Q-tips. Use some cheap-ass thermal paste. Nice little bit on there. Oh, biggie. I don't even keep track of the stuff that I use. Honestly, like anything you buy is gonna beat the crap out of whatever's on there by such a large margin that the 1 to 2 to 0.2 Celsius differences between all the different thermal pastes for me are entirely irrelevant. I could give a shit less. No. Because the stuff that it comes with is just so bad that it doesn't matter. Whatever you put there is going to be better. You could probably spit on there and it'll transfer heat better. So, I'm not going to screw all the screws in, but I'm not going to screw them in all the way. I'll leave them a little loose because it allows me to move the heatsink to where I want it to sit. Also, did I just... Yes, I did. See? That's why I didn't screw it all the way. Yeah, that screw is different from those four. You see where I said don't screw them in all the way? There's a reason. It helps if you wind up doing something stupid. But no, the reason I usually don't screw them all the way is so that I could slide the heatsink into the place right where it's supposed to be. I know, this really doesn't matter. It's ridiculous to be this picky, but I can't help myself. Being this picky is just silly. Most of the time when this is put back together, the webcam wire is routed over this, and the rubber piece is misrouted, and it's just a complete cluster, but it bothers me. The part that should have bothered me more than any of these is when I had a store send this in. And they kept calling and they said, my customer needs it back as soon as possible. When are you gonna... My customer needs this back now. And the guy plugged this in upside down. It literally worked when you took this and you did this. Oh, man. The stories from this business. Alright, so you go here. Route my wire nice and pretty. If I put even a quarter as much thought into the stuff that belongs to me as I did the stuff that belongs to customers, I think my bike would go on fire less often. Monitors for your tello coming in Thursday. Oh, motors, your tello. Thank you. Yeah, I think Erica just sent that. Thank you very much, Mr. Kopaz. I highly appreciate your time and attention. I've thoroughly enjoyed operating my little $18 cheap crap drone that I got from Amazon. It's been lots of fun. Alright, so we're probably going to do a little bit of cleaning, make this thing all nice. This person was in a rush, which is why I am not putting it through the ultrasonic. Because if I tell them that it has to go through a run in the ultrasonic cleaner, and then, wait for it to come out, they will lose their mind because they want it back right now. Which is why I'm still here at 8 p.m. So, we do this. Do we have a fan spin? Actually, let's get the battery out for a moment. So what do you think, Lee? You think we get a fan spin? You think we get 500 milliamps on this MacBook? What's the worst state you receive MacBook in? Cat piss. Cat piss by far. Nothing beats cat piss. 500 milliamps. Fan spin. And what do we get on the screen here? Bunch of fingerprints. Yes, Apple logo. So there you go. That is a fixing an 820-00165 that was taking about 250 to 260 milliamps. We got it to work again without even having to take the board out of the case. It's a very common problem, those little annoying tantalum caps that blow. Hopefully this video helped give you an idea of how to tell which cap it is. Even when the cap itself is not cracked, there are little hints to look for, and those little hints are going to save you a lot of time and a lot of money when it comes to expensive diagnostic tools and software and all these types of silly gadgets and stuff that people are going to say you need to spend money on, when in the beginning, when you start out in a business like this, you don't have money. So, having all those little things to look for and having these little tricks, like, when I see this much power being used, it means it's probably that's the problem. Being able to make those types of associations is going to save you a lot of time, a lot of headache, a lot of money, and a lot of hassle in the beginning where you need it saved. So hopefully this video has helped you. If you have any sort of board repair business or work in a similar industry, thank you very much for watching. And as always, I hope that you have learned something. I'll see you in the next video. One thing, by the way, before we get into this, is that we are very close to a lease signing and moving. And unfortunately, during that process, while I'm moving, I'm probably not going to have time to do videos as regularly as I have. You may have noticed I haven't been putting as much time into doing videos regularly. My apologies for that. Once we are in the stage of moving, it's probably going to be a good 2, 3, maybe even 4 to 5 months before I'm posting stuff regularly again. But expect that once everything is settled, hopefully I'll have everything set up to where it's easy for me to go back to doing regular videos like I used to. I'm sorry that I've been kind of slow with that lately. But that's it. As always, hope you learned something. See you in the next one.